This is Truth Be Told. Hi, and welcome to Truth Be Told. We're so excited you guys are joining us today. This is our first episode. Can you believe it? I have these lovely, amazing ladies next to me. We have our guest host today, Jada. And so we're just going to dive right in. I wanted to present to you ladies today about Kim and Kanye West, who are having their fourth baby. That's crazy. And this is the second baby they're doing via surrogate. So I wanted to ask you guys, first of all, would you ever be a surrogate for anyone?
Totally.
Well, I haven't even been a surrogate for myself. Is that what it's called?
I feel like that's like just giving birth.
A self-surrogate? That's not a thing. So, probably not.
Well, I'm a twin.
Ooh.
And so if my sister wasn't ever able to conceive, I would love to do that for her. So absolutely.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And it'd be special because the baby will still be a part of the family, you know, and so that'd be so special to like just experience that with my family. So that's like my one, like I will definitely do it, but I don't know anybody else. I don't know if I would do it for anyone else personally. I'm not sure. I never thought about it for anyone else.
What about you guys? Would you do it?
I don't think I would. No, like for me, I'm already like, okay, I have to have a baby for myself, and I'm already like, no. Mm-hmm. But I am, one day. But I don't think I could, and if it was ever the situation where I couldn't have my own kids, I'd probably rather adopt, because I bet the price is probably the same in terms of like investment and time and resources, and I would much rather like help some kids who don't have a loving home or environment and be that for them and love them as my own.
Yeah.
So
I think I would be the same. I would do it, like, it'd have to be a special set of circumstances to do it. I've done it 3 times, and it's just not that fun for me.
You've been a surrogate 3 times?
Surprise! There's babies everywhere! No, I've been pregnant 3 times with my own children, and that was already, like, that's a lot of work, and it takes a big toll on your body.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too.
So I don't think I would ever do it to be paid.
Sure.
But I would totally do it if someone, like, dear and near to me needed it done. So, totally.
But if someone was near and dear to you, though, do you feel like that would be harder to separate yourself from that? I don't know. Okay, do surrogates get the visitation rights, right? That, like...
because there would be some emotional attachment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and especially if, you're going to see this person, like if you're an aunt per se, right?
Yeah.
And then you see them, it's like they are your kid.
Yeah.
Well, they're technically not your kid.
Yeah.
Because it's not your egg, and
Yeah,
it's not your husband's
different.
sperm.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So they're not yours.
Teach me. How are babies made, even?
We just went to Sex Ed 101. So this is how you conceive a baby. So it starts
My mother-in-law is watching, like, tell her, guys.
We can talk after.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. But no, Renee's right. Actually, it's not the DNA. Like the mom is just literally the carrier of the baby.
Yeah.
So everything else is completely the husband and the wives.
Yeah.
So just think of your womb as like a home for the baby.
I think you would still get emotionally attached.
Totally.
For sure.
The kids and all those special moments you're experiencing.
But I think, like, you could give no one a greater gift than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my eyes, like, so if it was kind of like if my brother and his wife, or, one of my best friends was struggling, then it would just be like my honor to do that for them, because I can't imagine being given a better gift than a kid. So.
Yeah.
I was thinking, however, though, like for someone who either struggles with weight or any type of like body issues, I wonder if that would be harder for them to say yes to doing something, right? Like if someone naturally, I mean, you guys look amazing. You guys are the only two who have babies on this show.
Yeah.
And so you guys look amazing. I mean, if I had a guarantee that I would look like you guys after babies, then I would probably be like, okay, I'm willing to be a surrogate.
Yes,
but
Lord.
honestly, I'm being, there is a little bit of a fear of like, well, what if your body doesn't bounce back? Because I don't really know what that's like yet
That's
for
true.
me. So like, I'm like, do I want to get overweight and someone else's baby, or do I just want to wait for my own? I don't know.
My biggest question is like how hard the pregnancy was, because I don't know about you, but like I was only six. I was only sick for like 3 months during my pregnancies.
Yeah.
But I know women who are sick for the entire 9 months, and it like
that's
takes
rough.
such a toll on their body.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on how you experience pregnancy as well.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good
It's a
point.
lot easier to say yes if it doesn't have as big an effect on your body.
Yeah.
So
Mental
would you-
health too, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I was sick 3 months out of the pregnancy, and that was, like, the hardest 3 months. Because, like, I couldn't feel my baby, and so I'm like, I'm just sick. And then, your mind's going crazy all the time. So to experience, like, feeling not well for somebody else is kind of, it's a sacrifice in so many different ways, I feel like,
So do you think you would recommend it to someone, like being a surrogate, after they've at least tried having their own kid and had their own child? Or would you say, we'll just go for it? Do you know what I mean? Like, what would you recommend since you guys have had babies? Like, would you say, hey, get your own experience, see what it feels like for you before you, like, decide to do it for someone else?
That's a hard question.
Right? Like, what?
That's touchy. 'Cause
Like, that's a real thing, though, because what if
Yeah.
someone's like,
I feel like I would want to experience it myself
I
with
agree.
my kids for the first time. Yeah, for
But-
sure. But, I mean, at the same time, if that's just not the case, then I don't know. I actually knew a lady, and she was a surrogate for her daughter's baby.
that is
For her grandchild?
She carried her grandchild.
How old was she?
She was a really young, so she was like 42 or
Oh,
like
wow.
40, in her mid 40s, I think. So she was able to, and it's because her
Wow.
daughter had cancer and ended up having to get a hysterectomy, so she couldn't have babies. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's beautiful.
That's
It
Yeah.
really, that's a
Yeah.
really
But then at the
special
same time, like,
story.
grandma already got to, like, live her life. So she
Yeah.
was like, that's fine.
Yeah, it's like, I don't need to be on the
already
beach in a
over there.
swimsuit.
If I could be super raw, like I have never totally understood the concept of having a kid have to have your DNA completely. Like if your heart is really for like I just want a child, like I don't know, not going the adoption route. I understand wanting to experience every single part of I don't know, traditional human existence, like, oh, I want to be pregnant and I want to feel what it's like to have a kid in me and, you know, it's for that kid to come out and see my personality traits and all of that. But I think I've had a harder time, just to be honest, like, always understanding that, like, why if someone's heart is really for a child, why it has to be their child. all
Okay,
the
so
time.
you're pretty much talking about like, okay, then maybe why not just adopt then?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
do like a surrogate kind
Because
of
even
situation.
foster to adoption is pretty much, I mean, free. You know, I know
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
have friends who've gone through adoption. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I've never completely understood, like, why you have to have that child have your exact DNA.
Yeah. I want to adopt. Like, that's a huge, huge thing that I want to do. Like, I'm like, I at least want 2 of my own children first, and then I definitely want to adopt at least 2 other children. But if for some reason I can't have my own children, I would absolutely adopt. Like,
Yeah.
125%. Like, I agree with you. Like, it doesn't matter. I would just want to be a mom, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the... Oh, I feel like I'm going to cry. But you know what I mean? I think that's really in its core. I'm like, I just want to mother someone,
Yeah.
you know? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's true.
Yeah. Cool. Well, do you guys... Obviously, you guys have friends. That's weird.
I don't.
I was trying to say, do you guys have friends?
so.
Obviously, you guys
I
have
don't know
friends.
who these people are sitting next to. They're
I
so
know.
strangers.
Well, it kind of is a segue into that. Okay, so like probably you wouldn't be a surrogate for a random stranger. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But like, let's talk about friendship. Let's just talk about what that looks like being a friend. Like, okay, how do you make friends? Like, people have asked this question so many times. I've heard people say, hey, you know, right now as I'm older, like I have trouble talking to people, connecting with people. How do you make friends? Like, people are probably looking at us and like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing group of women. Like, how did they get together? Like, how did that connect? So just wanted to ask you guys, how do you make friends as adults?
As adults is key.
As adults.
As adults is key.
So different.
Because, yeah, when you don't struggle with it until, like, you move to a new place or you are in a new environment because your whole life, like, you're put into these incubator situations. It's like school. Cool, I'm around the same people all the time. You know, college,
Yeah.
I'm around the same people. Even church, it's a lot easier to make friends. But when you're outside of that, it takes a new level of, like, oh, I really have to make an effort to even find my people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, honestly, to make friends as an adult, you have a new level of, like, courage you have to walk through.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
just
true.
happen
It's
anymore.
so true.
I think it's also more difficult for females too, because
Totally.
I don't know. For me, like, I moved from Canada to Texas to be married to my husband, and it took me a good while to find friends. And when I did find someone where I was like, oh, we connect, I was like, can we be friends? And it was like, I straight up was just asking, because I was like, I need friends. And it was the only way to overcome that awkward, like, do we enjoy hanging out with each other? And I was like, can we be friends?
You have to date them.
Yeah,
I actually remember when I met you. You asked me that question. I do remember. You're like, can we be friends? I'm like, yeah. Like, I thought we were. I thought we were already. Like,
We were here.
yeah. But she was like DTRing, like defining the relationship. It's like, I just want to be very clear that I want to be your friends. Like, are we
I
friends?
value what you bring to my life, and I think that we should be friends. So
I love that. That was
I kind of
so funny.
that helped me overcome it, because I think a lot of times I forfeited the opportunity to have amazing people in my life because I was kind of tiptoeing around them and trying to make sure that I wasn't like this intrusive person who's like, let's be friends. And so for me, I'm like, it just helped me, like, even just to understand the person cares about like having a connection with me. And females I just think we're more complicated. Guys are like, oh, you like guns, sweet, we're friends. And that's it. And so it was kind of like, for me, I just overcame my like awkwardness and made it even worse and more awkward. And then I made friends. And here we are, Marquita.
Yeah. Well, I think also, too, you brought up a really good point. I think society puts so much division between women in general. Like, it's always like this compete and comparison thing. And I think that's why you feel that resistance when it comes to relationships with other women. It's because there's constantly this comparison. Like, do I look like them? Do I talk like them? Am I on their level? Or, all these different kind of variations of things, as opposed to, like, if we weren't seeing all these things in media all the time, if we weren't seeing all these things that were pressurizing us to, like, compete with each other, like, I feel like it's definitely an external thing that then creates this internal thing that then we're, like, trying to, like, like, rectify and, like, settle.
Yeah, I think sometimes it comes down to our personalities as
I
well.
agree.
Like, I'm naturally an extrovert, so I don't have as hard a time finding friends. Even, like, my husband, he's way more introvert than I am, and so he's like, 2 friends. He has more friends than that. Like, he doesn't really need more friends than that.
Right.
Like, he's good with that. And so me, I'm like, let me just say hi to everyone and, be friendly towards everyone. And so it's a lot easier for me to kind of make that initial icebreaker connection with women. And I think we're getting better at it, because we're realizing that vulnerability actually is like the power of connection. And we're willing to be vulnerable with each other. And so I think we're getting better. So we may not be there yet, but I have hope.
That's good.
That we're getting better.
That's really good.
And I think as people become more self-aware, too,
That's
which
what I
is
was
happening
thinking.
more and more.
Yeah, I feel like knowing yourself and being confident in you. Like, I like to be around women who embrace who I am. And so I don't have to change. I don't have to try. I get to just flow and just be me. And what's interesting is I know a friendship is not healthy for me when I feel like super exhausted when I leave. Right?
Yeah, that's good.
All the time.
That is really
all
good.
the time, And so, like, I am naturally social. And so I get energized when I'm interacting with women.
Yeah.
Or just people in general, but women in particular. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel refreshed. And so,
My husband calls those energy vampires. Like, as soon as I start hanging with someone, and he's like, "Ooh, you're getting a little vampire right now." Like, "Ooh, it's time to reevaluate a little bit."
That's a really good point. So, like, then when do you know to separate from a friendship, right? So if you're finding yourself in that situation where you're coming across those like vampire people where you're feeling drained, or maybe kind of what you're saying, like your personalities are not meshing, or maybe you just guys are not on the same page of even where you're going in life. How do you have that conversation? What does it look like? Like,
I think a key is knowing that you're actually not meant to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
And like being okay and confident, it's like comes back to that identity piece of like, hey, I actually have something to bring to the table to this friendship, but then so do you. And if it's not working, that's okay. Like we don't have to force it to happen. Which I think is a big piece. Sometimes we can fall into this trap of like, if you're a nice person and you're a nice person,
Right.
we got to be friends. Like, it's actually not true.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
have
not
to be
true.
friends with everyone.
Yeah.
So
You
good.
have to be kind to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be friends with everyone. And I think when
That's
you
so good.
have the power to choose your friends, I think that makes a huge difference.
That's
Yeah.
where the valuable friendships come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's whenever you allow yourself to grow as a person, because then you're not limiting yourself to just taking on like a project and
Yeah.
trying to make something work, you know. And so with the distancing, for me, I just choose, I'm mindful of like where I experience that person, right? So sometimes
Yeah.
I can't be friends with someone in a group dynamic because that just doesn't work, and that's okay. Maybe it's a one-on-one thing occasionally or for special occasions and things like that. And
Yeah.
so I just try to make sure I'm putting myself in a situation where I'm not being disingenuous, you know, around someone else, because I'm not willing to compromise myself
Yeah.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you got other priorities.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone here has husbands and families and babies, and I mean, there's other things that are
And
demanding
dogs.
our
And
dogs.
Our babies, they count.
yes, they do.
I saw the cutest fur mama shirt today, and I was like,
Oh,
I
I
should
want
buy
that.
for you.
Oh my gosh, I want that so
So
bad.
sweet.
That's
It
so
was so
me.
cute.
Yeah.
I'm
Have
one of
any
those
of-
people.
Have any of you guys actually in the last like few years broken up with a friend? Because I feel like it's so rare that I really see a friendship just like, okay, this is my breaking up conversation and text. Like normally it's just you kind of
not
distance
you.
yourself.
Yeah,
It's
you
me.
kind
a
of
little
like
bit.
ignoring
Yeah.
each other or
Yeah,
something.
you're
It's like
just
this
like,
weird like lull.
We're
Like
just not hanging out
Yeah.
suddenly.
Yeah.
You know
But
what I mean?
then
Yeah.
if the person asks you,
yeah.
like if someone says, "Oh yeah, like I noticed we haven't been hanging out in a long time," but okay, here's a scenario, right? Like it kind of goes to what you're saying. Like someone notices that you guys are distancing each other, and then like they ask you, "Hey, like I noticed that's been happening. Like, are we friends still or whatever?" How would you handle that situation?
Life seasons. I'm just in a different season of life.
Oh no, I hate that response. I hate that
It's
It's the new age version of, you know,
Oh my
that sounds
gosh.
really mean and really bad, I know, but sometimes that's just a fact.
Friends
right?
for a reason, friends
It's
for a
true.
season.
I think it's good to say that if that's the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that's not the truth, then I think like just being really genuine and open with people and having these like hard conversations.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we haven't as a society, we've gotten worse at having confrontation healthy because we're so used to hiding behind a screen to have our confrontation, you know? And so
That's true.
we actually don't realize that we can have confrontation and there can be fruit from it, and both of the people can walk away better people from that confrontation. Like, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I think whatever the truth is, if it is like seasons
Yeah.
changing, then yes, that's an awesome response. But if it's like, hey, you're making some really crappy choices, like I
Yeah.
actually can't be around you right now because
Yeah.
you're draining me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's really, Brene Brown says clarity is kindness. And that, I feel like that changed my life, that
That
one
is so good.
topic. When
Yeah.
you're mentoring people and counseling people, like actually being as clear as you can is being kind, even if it's hard to say. So
Yeah, I agree with
that
you.
in my head.
Yeah.
I've heard, okay, so I won't name any names just in case they watch the episode, but yeah, it's you. I'm talking to you. You know who you are. No. But, wow, that just got weird, but it's okay. Anyway, but like they use this saying, like friends for a reason, friends for a season. And I always felt, and this is not your situation, but I always felt like it was a way to hide from having that healthy conversation or having that healthy communication where you're actually being real with the person. Because I feel like when we withhold the truth from someone, if we could do it with love, that's the best way to do it. But withholding truth, actually, I feel creates a blockage for someone to grow and mature themselves. Because like, what if your courage to have that conversation and be kind, right, would open up a way for them to change.
Yeah.
And then maybe that could be the bridge that redefines the friendship or relationship.
Yeah.
Or maybe they find themselves in another situation where someone else tells them the same thing, and then they're like, aha, that's why I'm not having these connections that I want with friends. So it's like that brave communication that you're talking about, I feel like is so rare and so important. And it is very hard to do. Because you do want to be kind and you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, but it's like, you know.
But I will say too, I mean, I think there's a difference though between, okay, someone's making poor decisions, they're being really negative, they're putting you down constantly, and so you need to make that distance and have confrontation versus like you're just not jiving with someone anymore, or you're just kind of growing apart. And I think that in those scenarios, it's good to just be like, hey, I'm just more mindful about where I'm putting my time, and I want to invest in these kind of relationships, Our good friend Janessa Waite, she told me once, like, who are you investing in? And like, I mean, and that honestly has been really a great barometer between like, okay, as my schedule gets busier, like what friendships feel like an investment for me, like in all aspects of life. So
But you had said something earlier too about how in the X amount of time have you had to like step away from a friendship or something like that? Like can anyone share an experience? Obviously not naming people, but how did you handle that situation? Like how did you handle that conversation? Or did you maybe not have that conversation? Did you kind of just like...
I kind of had that conversation with someone a couple years ago, and like it was over text, which is probably not the wisest, but I was like, I've never seen this person. And it went from like both parties being super intentional and like having that great friendship where we're having good conversation and it like us hanging out made sense. And then eventually I was like, hey, what's going on? Because it kind of feels like you just don't care anymore. And like there was like a lot of variables to the situation, but it really left me being like, she doesn't value me as an individual from a different background. And it was more focused on like, I don't know how to say this without it being like, ooh, but I felt like I wasn't included just because of like, I don't want to say it. Oh. Well, my ethnicity, like it kind of felt like that was a bit of a variable. And I was like, okay, well that's fine because I have other friends and it's not worth me emotionally putting in my time and my effort if it's just not a mutual thing. Sure. And so then it was like, it wasn't even like, okay, unfriended, goodbye. It was just kind of like, okay, that's fine. I'll move on. Yeah. But I've also had instances where it was just a mutual growing apart and it wasn't ever like that conversation of like, so we're not friends anymore. It was just like, we're friends still. Yeah. But we just don't pursue each other in that capacity anymore, which is totally fine. And like, I have amazing friends from growing up and when I was a teenager and crazy, and they're still there and we still connect, but it's not the same degree as like some really good friends I have now. And I think that's okay. And I think, I don't know, I guess it kind of, I've seen a lot of males be able to maintain friendships from when they were like 4 or 5 up until they die. And I'm like, I think we're just more sensitive to what's going on and changes and we're more emotional and like, we just need to be reminded that, like, we feel things intensely, so do our other friends, and it's okay to understand that, like, you're just not feeling the same sense of friendship.
Sure.
Yeah. And, like, learning to grow together and apart, and I don't think I don't know.
I like that you said that, growing together and apart, because that doesn't mean that you can't have a friendship with someone later in the future.
Yeah.
And for me, I think when it comes to my friendships, because I'm only 23 and I have a kid and I'm married, I am moving a little bit faster than some of my peers. And so I have to make sure that I'm self-reflecting and making sure that I recognize that I am in a different season and not using that as an excuse. So that was really like... awesome that y'all said that and spoke truth on that, because it is easy to say that. It's kind of the new age, like, it's not you, it's me kind of thing, an easy way to break things off without actually like reflecting and identifying like
Yeah.
what it is in you,
Wow, wow.
and confronting
Yeah, wow. That's
confronting that
beautiful, yeah.
fear. Because
Yeah.
it's a fearful thing. You don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
hurt anyone. You don't want to disrespect anyone or really offend anyone.
Yeah.
But you're not showing them any true kindness. And to me, I think I've realized that you're not really being genuine in that friendship. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not ending the friendship because you don't love that person.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
ending it because right now it's not, y'all aren't growing together, and you aren't providing what you need to build each other up, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
so you need to let that person go
Yeah.
to like grow on their own, and then maybe in the future when they have kids or they get married or whatever the season may be, you can come together and be unified in that, and that can be awesome.
Yeah.
I just love that. I don't know. It's just so beautiful how we were having this conversation and how you just took a moment to say, oh, I just learned something. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I love conversations like this is because
Yeah.
we're sitting here talking and like we haven't spoken about this before. So we're sitting here, we're like, ooh, like maybe I need to redefine that for myself, or maybe I could change that thing about myself to be a better friend or be a better person. So I just love that you're like, oh my gosh, like I just took this nugget away from the situation. And I just think that's really beautiful about conversations. All right, you guys, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear about what you think friendship is. Also too, if you're gonna be a surrogate or not, would you? We wanna hear about that too. Comment below, like this video, subscribe to our channel. We really wanna bring content that you guys love. So if you have any suggestions on any topics or questions for our hosts, let us know that as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace, love.